Since the COVID-19 pandemic, transit agencies across Canada have been facing growing concerns over safety on public transit. Media reports on safety issues have left many riders and employees feeling unsafe, creating a barrier to the recovery of transit ridership. This challenge is particularly urgent for transit agencies who are continuously working hard to bring back riders. But if people avoid transit out of fear for their safety, it leads to decreased revenue. And that could result in service cuts, further diminishing reliability, and driving even more riders away. Yet these challenges are bigger than public transit can tackle alone. Transit systems are increasingly burdened with responsibilities that traditionally fall under public health and social services. These added responsibilities not only strain our operations, but also incur additional costs.
In 2023, the Canadian Urban Transit Association released the report Prioritizing Safety on Public Transit, recommendations with the aim to address the root causes of safety concerns and tackle the broader social issues that impact transit environments. The framework focuses on areas like customer and staff safety, mental health, housing, and substance use. Many of these actions were implemented by transit agencies across Canada. They introduced more frontline staff for visibility, expanded outreach programs for vulnerable individuals, and improved collaboration with local police services.
This documentary takes you on a journey across 5 transit agencies in Canada: Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto, and Montreal, to explore how key recommendations are being implemented and the additional support needed from our government partners to create safer transit systems. The National Transit Safety Recommendations focus on 4 key areas: customer and staff safety. This includes plans, policies, resources, communications, and training; providing acute mental health resources to support people in need of care on the transit system; helping persons experiencing homelessness who are increasingly drawn to the transit system; and addressing substance use in transit facilities and its connection to the broader opioid epidemic. We'll hear directly from transit agencies and frontline staff, including transit operators, customer service agents, outreach partners, special constables, peace officers, and local and transit police, about their efforts to improve safety, their perspectives on working within the transit system, the challenges they face on the ground, and what additional support is needed from government to address the complex issues impacting our transit systems. This isn't just about traditional safety, it's about the human side of the challenges we're facing. While we're working on innovative solutions, we recognize our limits. We can address immediate concerns, but to make lasting change, we need to broaden and sustain these efforts. Without comprehensive support from all levels of government, especially in housing, mental health, and substance use, we risk only shifting the challenges around rather than solving them. These challenges are deeply connected to the broader societal issues. Addressing homelessness, mental health, and substance use requires a coordinated approach between transit agencies and government partners at every level. By offering a transparent look into what's happening on the ground across Canada, we hope to show that these complexities are not isolated or temporary. They require a long-term, systemic effort to create meaningful change.
I thought about TTC as a way to serve the city. You're a vital lifeline of the city. You're helping people that need transit, helping people that need to get from A to B. What better way to serve the city than to give them transportation?
I can't see myself doing anything but being a bus operator. There's a sense of gratitude at the end of the day that you've helped move people. You've heard stories. You can go home knowing that, you did something good for the day. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's different from being behind a desk 8 hours a day. You get to see what the city is all about: diversity, the struggles, the successes. And you're always there through any sort of weather. You're always there pushing through and getting people where they need to be from point A to point B.
I was actually reached out by somebody who was applying for this job, and they said, hey, there's this amazing new program starting where we're able to do outreach on transit. And to me, that was very intriguing because I was always stuck in a building, not going out and about. With this role, I was able to actually get out into the city and actually travel around a little bit and offer that support to folks who are in need.
Being a transit worker is a special kind of industry. You know, you have to be a people person. You have to be willing to intersect and help people out every day. And you're really important to the mobility of Canadians right across this country. And our workers take a passion in that, in being able to move people from point A to point B.
I love talking to people. I love seeing the background that they have or what they provide. Just helping people on their day-to-day activities that they're doing, whether it's going to work, whether it's going to a sporting event, maybe it's a vulnerable person who needs help. I like to try and make some sort of a difference in somebody's life on a day-to-day basis.
I've been in customer service field for, I believe, 10 years prior to TTC. So I love dealing with customers. So when the opportunity presented itself, I just jump on it. And it was like winning the lottery. I love being here. It's the best job.
For me, it was helping people, working alongside with customers, employees, having a large family in regards to customers and employees. That really drove me to come down to TTC and to make a difference.
C'est vraiment le service à la clientèle, aider les gens, être proche des gens, pouvoir répondre à leurs besoins immédiats, d'être là pour eux, puis s'assurer que tout se passe bien, puis d'assurer la sécurité dans le métro.
When I see these individuals, whether it's days or weeks after, and they come up to me or they give me a hug or they shake my hand and say, you know what, you helped me so much, you've given me the resources I need where no other police officer did, that essentially makes my day-to-day job just so much better, and it kind of assures me that what I'm doing definitely makes like an impact out there. So
every day is different. It's a new story. You don't take your work home with you. It's great. It's an adventure. I couldn't think of being anything else now but a bus driver.
So over the past couple of years, we've noticed an increase in homelessness. And one of the things that we run into is when we're taking trains out of service throughout the day, we have people that are sleeping on the trains. That can be challenging for staff for various reasons, because when they approach them, they're not sure what to expect. We've also had instances where they've been in medical distress on the train. And that is a challenge for us because we have such a huge system, and having the amount of staff that we do, sometimes it's hard to catch every one of those.
I would say one of the main challenges we have is kind of striking a balance between us making it safer for customers using the transit system and also treating the underhoused with the dignity and respect they deserve. So it's almost like walking that balance between ensuring that we're doing something about the issue of homelessness on the transit system. Because at the end of the day, we do have customers who do expect us to provide a safe transit system. And so we're trying to walk that fine line between ensuring that the underhoused are treated with dignity and respect, and they're provided the services they need through whether streets to homes or MDOT or any other services that we offer. But we also want to make sure that it's safe for the customer. So I think for me, it's walking that fine line.
On n'a jamais eu autant d'itinérance et de personnes dans le besoin dans le métro de Montréal et dans les installations de la STM. Tous les jours, on va les voir, on va leur demander s'ils ont besoin d'aide. Puis, c'est malheureux, mais certains d'entre eux ne veulent pas accepter l'aide pour différentes raisons. Soit les ressources sont trop pleines, soit ils sont déjà, ne sont pas acceptés à ces places-là à cause de leurs addictions à la drogue, l'alcool, parce que les ressources n'acceptent pas les gens qui sont en état d'ivresse ou qui sont trop intoxiqués. Donc nous, on essaie vraiment de rester avec eux, les accompagner dans le maximum des interventions. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait souvent? On les réfère à des refuges. On demande à des groupes spécialisés tels que EMIC. On a une équipe de médiation qui va sur le terrain et qui va continuer l'intervention. Mais on fait tout ce qu'on peut en termes de social pour aider ces gens-là pour aller vers des bonnes solutions.
As a transit worker, as a subway operator, never did I think my role in the city would be as important as it is. Never did I think I'd be dealing with some of the things that I'm dealing with, where there are roles in society to deal with some of the problems that we're dealing with. We're not the experts.
No.
We need some experts on hand to help with all the problems that we're dealing with, whether it's underhoused people or disorderly people, and mental health issues.
I would say one of the big challenges that we do come across is a lot of services are open Monday to Friday, 8 to 4. However, transit runs almost 24-hour basis here. So because of that, like we are working, COT works about 23 hours a day. So we're out and about interacting with people on weekends, in the evenings, overnight. Those are the times where it's difficult because it's like we want to help them and we want to get resources in place for them, but there's no place open that we can take them to.
I've been with Calgary Transit Safety for just over 7 years now. When I first started this job, I would say we would get about 50 to 60 calls on a busy day. And then about 4 years in, right after the pandemic, our call volume had skyrocketed to about 120 calls in a 24-hour period. When I first started, it was more dealing with the vulnerable population in abusing alcohol. And now, on a day-to-day basis, we don't really deal with alcohol as much, and it's more towards the fentanyl crisis that's going on in the city and in Canada.
Some of the challenges that we face when dealing with our clientele can be sometimes a resistance to assistance. A lot of these people are very used to their way of life. Sometimes they don't expect much. Sometimes they are resistant to any sort of authority and that sort of thing. So a lot of what we have to do is break down barriers. It could be as simple as comfort levels, language barriers, any sort of thing like that. Once we can cross those barriers and get these people comfortable with us, which is part of our main approach, then we can try to help them and work together to try to solve whatever issues they may have.
Parfait. Dans le fond, les problématiques communes qu'on reçoit comme information, c'est que les personnes ont beaucoup de préjugés envers les personnes en situation d'itinérance, comme que c'est toutes des personnes toxicomanies qui sont là par choix, puis qui sont là, que c'est de leur faute. Mais quand on se met à parler avec eux, on peut entendre, on peut comprendre une histoire, puis je vous le dis sincèrement, avec tous les types d'histoires on peut pas, n'importe qui peut devenir itinérant du jour au lendemain. On a des anciens PDG de compagnie, des choses comme ça. Fait que l'idée commune, effectivement, c'est les préjugés envers ces personnes.
So a common misconception that we get for the people that we're dealing with on a daily basis is that they choose this life, they choose to be there, which isn't always the case. Some of them have been through a lot, and they find themselves with drug addictions and lots of mental health as well. Like I said, they don't always choose to live that life, and they've just came on hard times.
Sometimes these people just need to be treated like everybody else. You know, once you get past the issues that they have, whether it be mental health, whether it be hygiene, whether it be, you know, maybe them just having a bad day. You know, once you get past those things, you realize they're kind of like everybody else, down on their luck, they're having some issues, they got some problems that they need assistance with. Yeah, those misconceptions get in the way of them getting the help that they really need sometimes.
I look at them first as a person. When I go in, and there's a particular homeless young lady that I've been seeing over a number of years, just treating her with that respect, that level of respect she deserves, I realize I get a different reaction. And so when I started, you know, instead of just telling her you can't panhandle here or you can't loiter here, you have to leave, I try to get a sense of who she is.
Les idées les plus fausses qui sont connues sur les personnes en situation d'itinérance, c'est que itinérance égale personne intoxiquée, personne qui fait de la drogue, ce qui est faux. On a plusieurs personnes personnes vulnérables dans notre réseau qui ne sont pas des personnes qui sont droguées ou qui ne font pas d'alcool. C'est des gens qui cherchent tout simplement un toit, qui veulent manger, qui n'ont pas d'endroit où aller. Ces personnes-là, ils cherchent à se réchauffer. On peut dire ce qu'on veut sur ces gens-là, mais la plupart du temps, c'est tout ce qu'ils veulent, une place où est-ce qu'ils peuvent se coucher et dormir.
The transit safety strategy is a multidisciplinary approach to work with partner agencies such as Calgary Police Service, Alpha House, and community partners to ensure the safety and well-being of our passengers as they take transit from A to B when they travel throughout Calgary. In the past couple of years, we recruited and trained an additional 70 transit peace officers. This enabled us to significantly increase officer presence across the transit system. We also moved to a new district model, which decentralized operational deployment of transit peace officers. Working in a district allows officers to build a connection with the community they serve. It also helps to ensure a more equitable distribution of resources across the city and promotes a community-oriented approach in partnerships with outreach groups to address safety concerns. In 2024, there was a survey completed on the perspectives of Calgary safety, which was published last October. It indicated feelings of increased safety while riding transit when compared to fall of 2023 survey results. We are very excited to see that the percentage of respondents who feel safe at C-train stations increased to 72% in 2024. We saw a need and responded to a call to address the complexity of issues on the transit system. In response, the public transit safety strategy was presented as a holistic approach. This multidisciplinary model recognizes and builds upon deep partnerships with the community and agencies to ensure the right care and response is given.
So on a daily basis, we interact. We have a CUTA team, a community outreach team that we in Calgary Transit that works with our Alpha House or drop-in center. So every time we find a person an vulnerable person that's in need of help, we transport, me and my team will transport to Alpha House, make sure they get the right resources. We also work with Calgary Police Services, their community outreach team, just to provide more resources. So it's a collaboration of all different agencies that we work together.
In my role as a CERT officer, I'm understanding that there's sometimes we need to police and we need to be the police, but I'm also understanding that sometimes that's not the best approach. And we've been loaded with resources and social agencies and phone numbers and contacts. So what I hope with every interaction is I leave them with some sort of information to say, hey, look, if you need help, we are available. Here's some resources for you. I mean, we've had folks who have been alcoholics for their entire life. We've been successfully able to get folks into long-term detox. We've been successfully able to get a couple people into housing. Not every one of those encounters that we have is going to turn into success like that, but we have had, in my opinion, some really great success with getting people off the streets and legitimately getting people into detox facilities over the last year.
Face à cette montée des enjeux sociaux, la STM a mis en place ce qu'on a appelé le plan de sécurité. Le plan de sécurité, c'est un plan qui est collaboratif, qui inclut la participation de plusieurs acteurs, autant à l'interne qu'à l'externe. En fait, il y a 3 axes qu'on voulait adresser. On voulait augmenter la visibilité des employés de la STM dans le réseau. Donc, ce qu'on a fait, c'est qu'on a ciblé les endroits les plus critiques du réseau. On a augmenté la visibilité des constables spéciaux, des ambassadeurs de sûreté, mais aussi de l'ensemble des employés de première ligne. On a aussi mis en place des mesures pour améliorer l'aménagement de certaines stations. Par exemple, on a amélioré l'éclairage dans certaines stations. On a refait des aménagements pour restreindre les endroits où les gens pouvaient se regrouper pour faire, par exemple, la vente de stupéfiants. Ce qu'on a fait aussi, c'est qu'on a mis des moyens en place pour être plus efficace dans notre réponse aux appels, dans notre réponse aux enjeux. Ce qu'on veut, ultimement, c'est que les gens soient exposés, les clients, les employés soient exposés le moins longtemps possible aux enjeux insécurisants. On a augmenté l'utilisation des caméras, des différents moyens de détection qui sont à notre disposition pour être plus rapides et plus efficaces dans notre intervention. Force est de constater que la STM investit beaucoup pour répondre à ces enjeux-là. Par contre, on a besoin de l'aide de tous les acteurs du milieu, que ce soit le monde municipal, le monde provincial, les acteurs de la santé.
TransLink is the integrated multimodal transportation authority that serves the Metro Vancouver area. Our transit system spans 21 municipalities covering an area of 1,800 square kilometers. Every day we move our customers across the region, helping them reach the people and places that matter most. In fact, we average around 1.3 million boardings each weekday. Our role in this community is vital, and we serve all people no matter where they're from or where they're headed. We know that our transit system often reflects what's happening in the communities we serve. While our system is overall safe, we understand that when someone feels unsafe, that perception becomes their reality. It's important to us that everyone feels secure using our services. That's why we have safety measures in place. We've taken an enterprise-wide approach to support both our customers and employees. Our team works together to ensure everyone has access to the help that they need. From having uniformed frontline staff visible on our services, from our operators, SkyTrain attendants, transit security officers, and transit police, to delivering communications campaigns that inform and reassure our customers, we're committed to safety. The safety of our staff and customers is of the utmost importance to TransLink. We are continually exploring and implementing new ways for customers and staff to seek and receive assistance during safety incidents on the transit system. TransLink and Transit Police have introduced the 877777 text line, which allows customers to discreetly reach out for assistance that doesn't require an emergency response. When a customer sends a text, it is received by the Transit Police Control Center. Depending on the nature of concern, Transit Police, Transit Security, or other frontline staff will be dispatched to provide support. To raise awareness of this service, we implemented a comprehensive communications campaign for the 877777 text line.
So my name is Ronnie Rindella. I am a constable with the Metro Vancouver Transit Police. I currently work in our mental health unit as a mental health liaison officer. On a typical day-to-day role, I would start my shift and just kind of look at the previous night, see if there's any sort of mental health components in regards to that shift, see who that client may be, see if they have any mental health resources, and perhaps even reach out to those mental health resources, see if me as the mental health liaison officer for the Transit Police, if I can offer any assistance. Another thing is we liaise with our jurisdictional policing partners along with the other kind of mental health resources, and essentially just work together in like collaboration. The biggest thing is that in regards to, I guess, individuals suffering from mental health issues, my biggest thing is I want to get them the resources that they need in order to make them successful in any sort of challenges that they are dealing with. I essentially want to offer them many resources, any kind of support services, and get them with the help that they need.
Well, there was a common theme for quite a number of years of, just mental health wasn't really a big thing. And it's been nice to see that it's come more to the forefront over the last number of years. For me, from my side of things, there seems to be more of an emphasis on that mental health aspect. Folks are getting the treatment and help that they deserve, which is leading to success where their subsequent addictions are being assisted with and then ultimately leading to potentially being housed.
I think there are a lot of complexities in general with mental health. One of the perceptions on the line is if we have someone who's yelling and screaming that they're perceived as dangerous, which is not necessarily true. I think sometimes those people just need someone to hear them out, and we can be that extra resource for them. A lot of times I've spoken to someone, they've just had a mental health crisis and they've needed someone to speak to, and we're a point of contact for them, whether they need transit police or an ambulance or other resources.
When we do apprehend an individual under the Mental Health Act, the biggest kind of frustration that not only myself, but other police officers have too, is that we wait a very long time at the hospital for that client to see a doctor. I would say upwards of 5 to 6 to 7 hours. My wish is that we can have a dedicated doctor just for police officers, given, if we do bring a person that is apprehended under the Mental Health Act, we can essentially hand them over to that doctor at that time. We can go back into the field and essentially deal with more mental health related calls, give individuals the resources they want, and not have to wait 5 to 6 to 7 hours at the hospital to see a doctor.
The transit system has become part of the shelter network. People are supposed to be using transit to get to their destination. Unfortunately, with what society is dealing with right now, the transit system has become their destination for housing, and we all need to recognize that. Whether it's a subway station that's unfortunately being used as housing, or whatever intermittent stops or terminal endpoints that have been used for housing, we need people to understand that the funding is needed to help those people in crisis.
Myself and Fitzroy are part of the community engagement unit. I've been on this unit for about a year. When I first started in Special Constable, the one thing I observed was that, a lot of the issues we had with the underhauls on the system was kind of like a revolving door, where we get them to leave the station, right? And then they'll be back in the next day or just after, whether it be doing drugs, or being disorderly, or just being on the system loitering. I wanted to know what the city is doing to help this situation. So being part of the community engagement unit, we work with all these different organizations, Streets to Homes, Toronto Housing, MDOT, Loft, the BIA. And now with these partnerships that we have, even Toronto Police, the NCOs, Neighborhood Community Officers, we can try to help these people now, not be on the system, but get the supports that they need.
I think we've become a society who's kind of turned a blind eye to homelessness, and people see someone passed out on the train, they turn a blind eye to it. But our job at SkyTrain here is to make sure that everyone is riding safe and taken care of. So it is our job as well to make sure that everyone is safe on the trains.
I truly feel that if our teams had just access to more shelter beds, access to more places that people can go and don't have to be told they have to leave, because a lot of the responses we have to tell folks, unfortunately, that they can't no longer stay in that certain time and place. They said, where else am I going to go? Eventually, they have to leave the TTC and find somewhere else to go, another park bench and this, or whereas every individual should have a place to go and a warm place to sleep and feel safe.
A lot of times people see us, especially myself being in uniform, people see an officer and immediately think that, okay, I'm in trouble, or they're going to write me a ticket or something along that line. We try to take more of an educational approach when we do talk to clients, trying to educate them on the do's, the don'ts of the system. But also, ideally, what we want in a perfect world is to get them out of the system, into housing, with income support, so that they can become productive members of society and just essentially get their lives back together.
So a day-to-day, typically if we are working with a client, what we do is we start off by introducing ourselves as community outreach, always making sure that we tell individuals who we are, and then from there we ask them, what kind of services do you require? And that gives us an opportunity to be able to kind of like go down to the knit and grit of what people actually need, because it is very specific to what a certain individual requires. So whether that's detox, income support, housing, then we take a look at that and we say, okay, like these are organizations and services that could help with that. If they experience any sort of barriers, then we can be there to support and advocate for them. What I do usually is I'll make the phone calls to organizations while he, tries to build rapport as a law enforcement officer. He also is there to ensure safety of our clients, as well as me and himself and the general public. We're ensured that we do have the human-centered approach for individuals, but at the same time, there is the safety aspect, and if need be, last resort, the enforcement.
The biggest thing that could help our teams is more supportive housing. So supportive housing where they have staff on site 24/7 offering support and with addictions, mental health, possibly supporting with medication, harm reduction supplies. There's been examples of folks who go into housing and it fails completely just because they're not taught those simple habitual stuff that you and I would do, cleaning up, keeping the noise levels down. So I feel like a lot of people get evicted for reasons that could be supported.
Il faut comprendre aussi qu'il y a des personnes qui sont dans les stations de métro de l'ouverture à la fermeture. Ils passent la journée dans les stations de métro. Puis l'itinérance, ça peut être plus proche qu'on pense. Ça peut être n'importe quelle personne qui peut se retrouver en situation d'itinérance. Puis ça, il faut que les gens comprennent que c'est des personnes comme vous et moi, puis qu'ensemble, on peut faire une différence, vraiment.
When transit agencies open up their shelters their stations and their buses in inclement weather, in extreme cold or extreme heat. Those are Band-Aid measures. Those aren't actually addressing the issues. And so as public transit workers, we say that we don't get involved in the social arena. However, it does intersect with us, and we need to have those discussions on a national level and how we're going to mitigate some of those situations.
Getting people into a shelter bed and that sort of thing is amazing when we can make that happen. But the next step after that would be to kind of solve some of the issues that they're dealing with that got them there in the first place.
One of the challenges I would say is the open drug use on the system that we've observed that has escalated since COVID. The training that the TTC has provided, particularly first aid training, Narcan training, de-escalation training. In my own experience, I've had to use Narcan on the system. I got a call of an individual overdosing on a train, got there, realizing the person wasn't breathing, and we had to administer Narcan. My training taught me that I had to remain calm. I had to take control of what was going on, ensure that this individual, if after administering the Narcan, we observed the person for a few minutes. If he's not breathing, you may have to administer Narcan again, which is what we did in my case. And, the person responded. And of course, we kept them safe until EMS was able to come and take that person to the hospital. Had it not been for that training from the TTC, to make our jobs better, that could have, that situation, I might not have had the tools rather to deal with that. So that particular training came in helpful there.
I've stopped counting the amount of overdoses I've responded to, but some of my first ones I do remember quite vividly, and especially my second one, there was a 15-year-old boy. And I saved his life that day, and nothing has ever given me the exhilaration that feeling felt. But other than just saving lives, I've been able to connect people to get housing, to get off the streets, to possibly even getting into certain programs such as detoxing and rehab and actually changing their lives for the better.
Things are getting better over the years. We are identifying all the issues that are in the transit system and working with all the different agencies, working with Calgary Police or the social housing system. We are actually making a positive change on our system, so every day is getting better.
One of the biggest impacts that we make is saving lives, honestly, through overdose response, simply getting people off of the street. Some of our guys, including Matt and myself, we like to take the extra step and provide meals when we can. Just treating people like they're people, having those engagements, building those relationships. Sometimes these people go days, weeks, months without having a normal engagement with anyone because people avoid them or, the lifestyle that they live. So us being able to step into these spaces and make them feel seen and heard is a huge, huge way that we impact these things.
Juste ici, avant que vous arriviez, il y a une personne qui nous a été signalée par les constables parce que quand ils rencontrent une personne en situation d'itinérance de vulnérabilité, ils nous envoient un courriel, nous informent de cette situation-là. Cette personne-là était dans la rue depuis 3 jours seulement. Cette nuit, il nous dit avoir consommé du crack, mais il ne veut pas tomber là-dedans. Bien, nous, notre but, c'est justement de prendre la balle au bon, de le référer au bon endroit. Et la belle histoire du jour, si je peux dire, c'est qu'on a appelé avec un de nos partenaires de la Maison du Père qui est non loin de Berry. Puis il s'est déplacé sur place pour venir rencontrer la personne, puis maintenant, cette personne-là sera prise en charge par l'organisme.
There are moments where it is very rewarding when we do help individuals and we do see them get back up on their feet and move along. And but it is mostly a very humbling job based off of experiences that you see. And but I wouldn't really have it any other way.
Mais c'est vraiment, on espère vraiment d'accomplir que la personne soit bien entourée, qu'elle ait vraiment une place pour passer la nuit. On sait qu'à Montréal, il fait des -20 à l'extérieur. On ne veut pas qu'ils se retrouvent à la rue. Fait que juste savoir qu'ils ont un endroit pour dormir, qu'ils sont habillés adéquatement pour nous, notre travail est fait, puis on trouve satisfaction là-dedans, vraiment.
It breaks my heart when I have a customer come in at 2 o'clock in the morning at Dundas Station in the middle of February with no shoes, no socks, barefoot in the freezing cold. Unfortunately, we don't have anywhere to place them safely. And it's up to us on what to do next. And it's difficult at times because I don't always have the solution. But what I do know is I need to secure the station at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they've got to go somewhere. I've got a family to go home to, and the station needs to be secured. Where do we find a place in the middle for them? They get lost in the cracks, and it breaks my heart. And I hope that we can all find a way to make sure that not just customers are safe, employees, but also the ones who are trying to get ahead of where the situation they're in right now.
The more social services, the more housing supports, the more social supports that we can get. That's our biggest challenge at this point, that the population, the growing population, the homelessness needs to be routed in a proper way and not just put a Band-Aid on it.
We understand there's a humanitarian issue here, but we're all humans. The humanitarian issue is affecting the passengers. The humanitarian is also affecting the operators. And it's impacting service, and it's delaying service. And so more support services, more funding to combat this. Exactly.
To help us.
We'll go a
keep
long
Toronto
way.
moving.
Being that the Metro Vancouver Transit Police is the only dedicated police force in relation to the transit system in Canada, myself and another individual are the only mental health liaison officers. So my goal and my wish is that we can get more funding, essentially more resources to have more mental health liaison officers so we can better assist individuals going through mental health crises on our transit system.
Just having more options when it is like those dire moments, especially during the winter time. There's already been excellent initiatives like the emergency shelter warming bus that drops people off to shelters. We would love to see more things and more initiatives like that, because it does help us as individuals. For instance, when we're helping closing the stations, instead of saying everybody go out into the -30 cold, we say, hey, you know, there are warming buses, there are options for you.
In every situation, it appears that each agency is dealing with it independently on their own, like it's a new phenomenon. This is not a new phenomenon. So one of the things in our national transit strategy, dealing on workplace violence, is figuring out what that template looks like and using those applications in every jurisdiction, in every municipality, right across this country. We shouldn't be doing it alone. We should be sitting down as a comprehensive group with all of the players and all of the stakeholders to make sure that we deliver the seamless needs that our workers require.
Des enjeux sociaux, ça implique que bon, tous les acteurs doivent se mettre ensemble, travailler en équipe pour trouver des solutions à ces problématiques-là. La STM, oui, évidemment, fait partie de la solution, mais ce n'est pas la seule unique solution.
What we think could serve us better as an operator, as a frontline worker, would be quicker response times, more support services. Many times, vehicles are asked to continue in service and somebody would intercept. And that would be great if we knew exactly where it was going to happen and when. And sometimes it never happens. And I think that's not because nobody cares, it's just a lack of resources to send somebody, and calls are prioritized.
Yes.
Sometimes you feel your call is very important and somebody else might not. So maybe some more policing, some more social services. And if underhoused is a problem, then maybe we need more housing, maybe we need more shelters. This is not a problem just in the Toronto Transit Commission.
It's all over.
This is a city problem, and we need all levels of government and management to really take this seriously.
Pay attention. What's going on?
We need help to continue these efforts, particularly funding for staff, mental health expertise, and government action to address the root causes of these complex issues. We need more shelters, better access to mental health care, and improved healthcare infrastructure to address substance abuse. But that's not all. We also need to update enforcement policies so that riders understand appropriate behavior on transit and how safety issues should be managed. Perceptions of safety impact ridership, and we need to improve public awareness about these issues.
The key takeaway here is simple. Concerns we see on public transit reflect much deeper societal challenges. Addressing these issues requires collaboration between all levels of government, social services, and the public. Only by working together can we build a safer, more reliable transit system for everyone.
Transit safety is complex, but we know this, and we can't solve it alone. It's time for governments to step up and provide the support transit agencies need. Together, we can build a safer, more welcoming transit system for everyone. Your support is crucial in raising awareness about these pressing challenges and in pushing for the continued support that transit systems need to succeed. So let's work together to build a better future for transit in Canada.